Hello there, and welcome back to The Movie Babe, where we discuss movie reviews and reflections. So, on today's episode, we are going to be talking about the movie Seven Prisoners. This was on Netflix, set in Brazil. So, this is a story of a young Brazilian guy, and he wants to take care of his family. And he gets an offer from a guy that he knows, I think, to go in a van, and they were promised to do legal work for their family to help their family with money because he lived in a village. And then he gets in a bus and he meets these other people that are there for the same thing, that were given the same promises, only to find, and to mind you, their all backgrounds are all poor. And so they really, really need this. And they thought what they were doing was getting real, legal, fine tuned work, but that turned out not to be the case. And what happens is, once they get there, and they're fed, they meet the main guy who is like a white Brazilian, and they get into their rooms. The first night there, they all meet each other. They get money to go to this restaurant across the street to just eat and chill, but they don't know that the people in the restaurant also has ties to the guy, to their their employer, but they didn't know at the time that he was evil in a sense. And so they're eating, they're excited, but upon first coming to the place, to where they will work and sleep, the beds are not as great. The living conditions are really icky. Like, their meals aren't, they weren't expecting their meals to be lavish and extraordinary, but their meals aren't as up to standards, you could say. But they figure, let's work anyway. And so they were promised to get a certain amount of money by a certain amount of time. But they all start to realize that, okay, this is under the table work. This isn't good work. We are just doing this to fill this man's bottom dollar. And as the movie goes on, they start to realize what's going on here. This is getting paid under the table. This guy is actually threatening us, and the money we said we were going to get paid isn't paying out. And because the employer is saying, okay, we gave in advance to all of your families, and now you got to pay back the debt, which wasn't the case, which wasn't what they were told. And so, of course, tensions start to escalate. And the main guy, the one that's in the picture right now, I forgot his name, sorry, but he's like one of the main characters. And he, because the other ones in the group, not like they weren't slow, but they're not as intellectually capable as him. He wants to be an engineer. He wants to move up in life. He wants to really provide for his families in ways that working in the junkyard wouldn't, where he's working now. So his employer sees his aptitude, the employee sees his capabilities, the employee sees his intelligence, and begins to have him as his right hand man. Now, before, and I'm sorry for the spoilers if you didn't see the movie, but before the guy, the main Brazilian guy, dark skinned guy, he was actually he was actually standing up for his crew, the people that were in the van with him before. And, they're trying to find a way to escape, to get out of here. But by seeing what his employer goes through, and seeing how, oh my God, so he came from the same state as mine. He wanted to be an engineer. He was as poor as me, and look where he is at now. And the employer invited him to go to these different places with him. And when he went to these different places with him to collect his money, he realized that, oh my God, this man is in human trafficking. This man is in some underarm deals. This man is doing some illegal stuff. But at the end of the day, he realizes, oh my God, this is all to really pay for his family. And when he sees that he was actually able to buy a store for his mother, not the Brazilian guy, but the employer was able to buy a store for his mother and provide for her, and made him feel happy. The mother actually told him, oh, listen to everything he says, listen to everything the employer says. And you could see, like, his defenses after a while start to get down. He starts to really look at the employer, look at his family, look at all the money he's bringing in, looking at everything. And like he's still in his state where he wants to help his co-workers, his associates. He still wants to help them, but at the same time he's thinking about his family too. He's thinking about himself too. He has to think about himself too as well. But he really starts to get trapped in this whole, he starts to go through like an identity crisis in a way, because he realizes that, okay, he sees that this employer is doing all of this stuff and he knows it's wrong, he knows it's not right, but at the same time he's doing it to feed his family, to make his family not be poor again, to see, he realized that his employer is just like him. And he's realizing that, oh my God, is this the way to enlightenment, you could say? Is this what I have to do to feed my family, to make it rich, to be someone in this world? And the employer ends up invites him to a because someone is running for office, running for president in the movie, and the employer invites him to like this mansion where the employer will now be stepping down from the junkyard, and will start doing more upper class kind of, instead of low level. He's doing like high level work now. He's like moved up. The employer, he himself has moved up. And so he sees all this and he's like, wow, 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 wow. Because and so as the employer and himself became more trusting with each other, he began to give him more tasks, things to do around the junkyard. But as he sees everything from the trafficking to some illegal stuff he's doing, to like some not so savory things he had to do in order to feed his family, he's kind of getting a awakening call to see that, a wake up call to see like, wow, this is really what I have to do, and this is who I have to be in order to like be somebody in this world. And his where the guy who he was in the van with, the Brazilian guy, the guy that was actually one of his, like, wasn't like his true friend, but like one of his, like, on the up and up friend, he actually ended up burning him with a cigarette, because he realized that all this time you could have done something. You could have, got us out of here, got us out of this situation, but he just chose not to, because he realized that, you know what, maybe I can move up too. Maybe there's a place for me too. And even though he was telling them all this time that, yeah, I'm trying to get you out, he really wasn't trying to get them out. He realized from his employer that he was trying to learn from his employer so he could mirror him in a way, not be as rootless as he was. Because when it came, another spoiler, sorry, but when it came to the situation where he had to, one of the workers was acting up, one of the guys he knew in the van, and the employer asked him, like, okay, what do you want to do? You want to kill one of the family members? And he's like, no, just give him a scare. And he ended up showing the phone to the employee, to the one of the guys that wasn't doing the work, and he got really angry. And he said, and then Brazilian guy, he's like, I didn't want to do this, and he ends up showing him the picture in the phone of his family member being beaten up. And mind you, he's less ruthless, of course, than his employer, but like he's still trying to learn all this. He's still trying to figure out like what is going on, like where through all of this he's like having cognitive dissonance, because he's wondering like, where do my morals lie, where do my loyalties lie? Because he realizes that in order to make it in this world, like, you may have to do some things that you don't want to do, but in the end he realizes it's possibly for the benefit. And that's why at the end of the movie, when he ends up leaving the junkyard and getting in the truck with the employer, and the employer sees the cigarette burn on him, and he knows it's from the other workers, but he doesn't say anything, but he knows, like, in the back of his mind, like, that he made the right decision and to not be like the other guys. Because I think in the back of his mind he realized that if any other of the workers was in his same position, Like they would do the same thing as well. And even though he wanted like to fight for a better life for his employees, he realized that the people at the restaurant, the guy in the van, the many connections he has, the other people that work through for him throughout the city, in Rio de Janeiro, he has connections anywhere. And so he realized too, like even if he did try to let them go, even if he did let them go, he realized that his employer's connections would be after them, after his family, kill their families, kill them. And he realized how much power his employer had throughout the city, and that he wasn't trying to put themselves in that predicament. Like him hurting them was helping them, you could say. Him hurting them was helping them, because if they would have, like I said, if he would have had them escape, it would have done much worse. And even when the employer and him and the guy got to like partying and girls and everything, and the employer, he was so drunk and he set his gun up on the desk, and and the employee grabbed the gun and put it to his head, but he didn't shoot, because he realized what consequences would face that. He realized everybody would be after him, because he realized everybody saw him at the club that night. Overall, this is a movie that really makes you look at your values, makes you look at the world as what it is at the end of the day. It takes a gross look at human trafficking in the underworld, and really what goes on, and how people get their money and keep their money. And it also takes a look at the workforce, and laborers, and illegals, and how they are just spat on sometimes, and how they are just taken advantage of in the system, and it is not right. More movies coming from the Movie Babe. Be sure to stay tuned and tell me in the comments what movies you want me to review next. I love y'all, and keep on watching. Like and subscribe.